What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while. So the last video I put out was the fishing trip video, and that was pretty much the end of it. Things got kind of busy around here. We had some things around the house break that had to get fixed. I picked up another project vehicle, which I'll do a little video on here soon. But other than that, this video I want to talk about is the WeBoost. So we've all seen it, we've all questioned whether or not it works, and I decided to go ahead and give it a shot. It's not a cheap purchase. I think it was around 500 bucks or something like that, depending on what model you got. Because there are two different ones. The one that I went with was the over-the-road truck one. They do have an off-road overlanding one, and the only difference with that is it comes with this fancy little mount for the antenna. I didn't want to go with the overlanding one because I wasn't going to mount this one on the roof. I know it would look a lot better if it was mounted up in the front with like a fold down for the antenna, but I wasn't sure if this thing was even going to work. So I went on this trip for the fishing trip. I decided this is going to be the best place to try it out, because when you get about 10 miles outside of town down there, you lose all cell service. So I figured if I can take this thing down there and it still gets some kind of signal out of it, then it's probably pretty good. Because like I said, I've been going down there for years, and you usually have to stand on one leg with your arm above your head to get any kind of signal. They do have Wi-Fi down there. Sometimes you can link into that and make a sketchy phone call, or maybe send a text message, or get online and check an email. But it's not always reliable, because pretty much everybody down there is doing the same thing. So like I said, I've thought about this thing, I've seen people talk about it, and I wanted to find out if it was something that you guys, if you're looking for, if it was going to be a good purchase. So in doing so, while I was down there, I did lose some footage on it. That's kind of why we're here in the garage now, doing a recap. But what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and play some of the footage now, showing you what's in the box, what I got, and then kind of talk about how I mounted this thing. Alright, so the trucker version comes with the standard mounting. This is supposed to be on like your mirrors. You got the round bar mirrors. That's what you would put this on. We've got, cool, a little bit of Loctite in there. All the adapter pieces. We got a spring, so I don't have to use my other one, so that's good. This right here is going to be the booster itself. As far as mounting it goes, this thing should pop off the back here, and then you just attach this to wherever you're going to put it. Inside antenna here, 12 volt, and then outside antenna. Pretty basic. Of course, here we've got the outside antenna, and then we've got two masts for it, so depending on how high we're going to go, two different lengths. Try to show that a little better. You see there, two different lengths. And then here's the power cord. Now this is something I'm kind of going to have to figure out, because I would like to hardwire this, so I'm going to have to look into it. So it's got an on-off switch here. I just need to know if it's actually 12 volts here, if this steps it down. If it's a solid 12 volt, we might be able to open this wiring up and hardwire it into the back of the Jeep. And then here's the inside antenna. It comes with some, what do we got? Oh, we got Velcro. That'll work perfect up on the headliner. Or you can mount it on your dash. An alcohol wipe. So this here's your inside antenna. And as long as your phone is within, I think, about 3 foot of this, it should grab the signal. Alright, so you got to feed your cable down through each one of the masts that you're going to use. And then what we'll do is put a little bit of Loctite that came with it around each one of these fittings so that it doesn't come apart on you. Alright, so I am going to use pre-existing hole for this because I don't mount anything up there for now. We're going to do spring load. The nut will fit perfectly on there, and then we'll chase the wiring down through the back hole and then keep it nice and tight along here. We'll bring it down, we'll leave enough room for this thing to wiggle, you know, so it doesn't get ripped apart. And then what I found is we're going to chase it behind the tail light in through the rubber seal, and then we'll loop it kind of right out of here. I think I'm just going to go ahead and mount it right here for now. So as for mounting it, you can see how I did it. I put it on the spare tire carrier and I put both extensions on it. So this thing is about as high as you can get it. Now in the instructions it does say to mount it, you know, up on the roof of the vehicle at its highest point because you want the best chance of some kind of signal being able to be received by that antenna. Now, yes, I'd love to have it mounted up on the front, but I've already drilled several holes in the roof of that thing, running all my power lines for my camp lights and other stuff. And I didn't want to have to drill another one. Because at some point, something's going to start leaking. I just feel it. So I decided to run it on the spare tire carrier with 2 extensions, which puts it up just high enough to where if I'm in the camp, in the rooftop tent, it's just going to blast me with radio frequencies all night and probably give me some kind of disease. Who knows? But I did mount it as high as I could. I do kind of like it on that spare tire carrier. It's just kind of out of the way. It looks kind of goofy. Somebody said it looks like an RC truck now, which that's fine. It's kind of silly. But I put both extensions on it because I did want to get it as high as I possibly could to give this thing the best chance at getting any kind of signal I could. And like I said, I don't want to drill any more holes in my roof. So for me, that was the best spot to put it. Now, depending on whatever your rig is, if you got it on a Cherokee or a Wrangler or 4Runner or something like that, you might want to do the overlanding kit because then it does come with that other style of mount. One thing that I did notice right out the gate was when this thing is on and functioning, that heat sink on the back, it does get pretty darn hot. So if you were going to mount this thing in your car and you're going to put it like underneath the seat, I would probably avoid doing that just because of how hot that thing gets. Now I know some of you might say, well, it's in the back window. You know, the sun's beating down on it. Now that could be a factor of it too. But I'm telling you, because I did this thing, you know, in the evening when it was cloudy and stuff like that, and it still got pretty warm. So just be mindful on where you're going to mount it. And if that's something you're going to do, I mean, you can put it wherever you want. I'm not a professional installer on this thing, but if you're going to do it somewhere, I would probably avoid putting it underneath the seat or something like that out of the way, just because of that risk of something getting too warm. As for the inside antenna, I did mount it. You can see it was kind of up over the rear passenger door. I just zip tied it up there just to see how this thing was going to work. Now that I know it does work, I will move it to where my permanent location is going to be. I want it to be somewhere where it's kind of central between when I'm driving and then when I'm up in the tent. So it's going to have to be right over, you know, the main part of the body of the vehicle. And I am going to wind up fishing it up and then probably mounting it to the back side of the center light because it just seems like the perfect middle of the grounds kind of location. Mounting locations for that for you might be different. Just depends on where you're wanting it, where you're going to use it, and where you're going to camp. Now, in using it, this thing worked amazingly well. Like I said, I went from having no signal, none at all. I even talked to some people that live down in that area, and they were surprised that I actually got 1 to 2 bars out of it. Now, you might be thinking, well, you know, how come it's not getting 4 or 5 bars? We're going from a location that has no service at all. And I was able to get at least 1, sometimes 2 bars out of it. So I could send text messages, I could still send emails, and I could still make sketchy phone calls. It seemed like sometimes you had to be, you know, really close to that inside antenna for it to actually work. Now that could be just because I was in such a remote area that has no signal that this thing was just scrambling for anything it could get, and it was putting out whatever it had. So if you're somewhere where you got maybe 1 bar, it's probably going to boost you up to 3 or 4, and you won't have to worry about, staying right on top of that antenna in the vehicle to get it go through. But it did work, and I was very surprised at how well it did work. Because like I said, it went from no bars to 1 bar. I had people that they were linking into it while I was on it. All they have to do is there's like a reset you can do on your phone. You put it in like airplane mode, and then you take it out of airplane mode. And as long as you're within, I think it's like 3.5 to 4 foot of that inside antenna, your phone should connect to it and use it. So while I was down there, I had a couple people, 2-3 people that were linking into it and using it the same time I was. We all had about the same bars, but we could all make phone calls. We could all make text messages. Biggest thing was text messages. Those went through nice and easy. So if you are somewhere out remote and the phone just won't make the call, you can still send a text message through it. So that was pretty cool because, like I said, if you can't make the call, you still have the option of sending out that text message. As for going through and permanently mounting this thing, yes, I am going to do that now that I know that this thing works, because honestly, if I went on this trip and it didn't work, I was probably going to send it back, because I did get it off of Amazon, so they do have a return policy on it. But since it did work and it works so well, I will go through, I will hard mount everything, and I'll run all the cables, chase them all where they're hidden, make it look a lot better than it does. If this is something you guys are looking for, we see, there's all different types of signal boosters out there. I went with this one because a lot of people that do remote camping all said that they had good luck with it. And I was skeptical because, like I said, where I went fishing, we go there every year, and you get down there and there's just no service. So I figured, well, if I can get something out of that with no service, then it's doing pretty good. And I can say for sure that WeBoost did the job. It's kind of sketchy in some spots, but it did work. So if you are looking for a signal booster, I can recommend the WeBoost. Now, I'm not getting sponsored by them, not paid for by them, or whatever. Bought that out of my own pocket. So it was about $500 something to get that thing. But for having that safety and security of actually having, some kind of signal wherever you're at, it's definitely something that I wanted. I know most people say, oh, when you go out camping, you want to be remote, you want to be away from that stuff, get away from technology, but I like to have the assurance of being able to send out a text message or make a phone call if needed, to communicate with family, that kind of stuff. And I know you can get like those Garmin inReaches and all that and stuff, but I don't know. It's just something about having your phone with you while you're out there, just being able to do that kind of stuff. Or if you play music. I play a lot of music through my phone, so being able to link through there so I get my tunes to still work, definitely a plus. So I know throughout this whole thing I've been kind of throwing little clips of the footage I did when I was putting it in. And on the Cherokee, how I did run it, I ran it down, around, and through the tail light into the inside. And it does look kind of goofy because I put both extensions on it. But look, this thing worked, and that's all I needed it to do. I don't care how goofy it looks. As long as I got signal when I'm out, I'm good. That's all I'm worried about. I did wind up having to loop the strap for my spare trash holder, the spare tire trash holder. I looped the antenna through that because when you're driving down the road, it does kind of wave back and forth while it's going. But as for now, the way I've got it strapped on there is working. Eventually, I'll probably come up with some kind of an additional mount that just kind of clamps in at the bottom and then comes higher up that mast and just holds it from wiggling around too much. But the base, I did put a spring on it, so if it does wiggle around, it is spring loaded. So if I hit a tree or something like that, it's not going to bust the thing off. But if you're looking for signal boosters and you are an adventure person and you're out there in the middle of nowhere, I can say the WeBoost was a good purchase. Like I said, it was something I was kind of leery about because I wasn't sure if it worked as well as people were saying, but after actually using it, and once I get it dialed in and get everything hard mounted the way I want it, I think it was a solid purchase. I'm very happy with it. And if I was building another, overlanding rig or off-road rig or something like that, if I was in the market for something again, I would totally buy another one. But anyway, I want to keep this video nice and short and simple for you guys because I got tons of other projects going on. I have some huge news coming out within the next couple weeks. You guys will be the second to know. There's another set of people I have to tell first. But yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm nervous about it. So for right now, the videos have kind of been on the back burner of things just because I'm trying to get all this other stuff taken care of. It's really big for the family, and hopefully it's for the good. So got to get this thing back together. As far as projects go, I did tear the front bumper off of it because I'm working on how when the guy that stole it, he hit something here and smashed up some stuff in the front. So we are working on that. I got to get this thing done because this thing is gonna get sold. I'd love to keep it, but I got another project out here I got to work on. So yeah, if you're interested in the truck, drop me an email, nextweeksadventure@gmail.com. See what we can do. Solid vehicle. I love this thing. Every time I drive it, I fall more and more in love with it. I love the way it sounds. It drives so nice. There's a few things that still need to be fixed on it, and there's some other things that I'm just not going to touch. But yeah, if you're interested, hit me an email. As for the new project, you guys will see it. I will make a video on it, I promise. We've already got some parts. I got some tires and wheels back here. I got some other ones right here. If you know what that is, you know what I got. If not, jump on Instagram or on the Facebook in the community section. I did put some shots of it, and I did a short, and I kind of showed a little glimpse of it. So that's a project. That's going to be a fun one. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. I kind of bought it as a daily, and of course you can't just drive things. You know, you have to throw mods at them, so we'll do that. But for right now, we're going to wrap it up. We just got a ton of stuff going on, whether it's vehicle projects or home projects or life projects. We're making a lot of changes. So you guys, as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you in the next video.